Word around the block is Gen Z keep getting fired, and we trying to figure out what the problem is over here. Like I did a video yesterday called, you know, Gen Z. What was it like? Gen Z is poor. Or why Gen Z is poor? We're trying to figure out what's going on because I'm just hearing so many different things. Every time I'm on TikTok, I see a video popping up of someone Gen Z talking about how hard it is. Well, let's dive into it. With that being said, we're smoking all my dragons, divine righteous, almighty greats overachieving, never slacking. So, right here, I see an article that says, why are so many companies firing Gen Z workers? Around 6 in 10 companies included in the survey reported firing a recent university graduate they hired this year. Some of the cited reasons behind these decisions included the lack of motivation from their employees, lack of professionalism, and poor communication skills, among others. Before we even dive into that, I feel like when it comes to the communication skills, when you grow up where majority of your life is through social media, I see how it can be awkward, especially when you're dealing with other generations in the work field. Majority of your relationships, for the most part, when you deal with people, are through social media. So when you're face to face with somebody, it can be the conversations can get awkward, right? Which they can now perceive as, man, this is a lack of professionalism, because we're in a transitioning state in the world. We've been in for a while, but we're really in that shift right now. Like it's faster and faster. So people who did things, I put it like this, right? And this is actually speaking in favor of Gen Z. Old tactics don't work in today's future. So yeah, so many people in Gen Z may be getting fired, but they're also coming up with new ideas and figuring it out, because from the ashes rises the phoenix. So them getting fired and them not wanting to do things the old way is definitely going to birth a revolution. Believe that. It's definitely going to birth a revolution, because eventually something's going to spark. That's my personal belief with that. Right? So it says the reasons is lack of motivation or initiative, lack of professionalism, poor organization skills, poor communication skills, challenges with feedback, let's talk about challenges with feedback. I feel like insecurity definitely is built through social media. That's one con. When you see so many people constantly in competition, people are constantly trying to prove that they're doing better than the next person, and that can create a big insecurity. So I will say, from what I noticed with Gen Zers as well as millennials, I'm a millennial, so as well as millennials, I feel like people, they're harder to take criticism. I feel like there is more of a, when it comes to when it comes to emotions, like we grew up where you kind of got to walk around that. Like when I was growing up, you could say a lot of stuff without it being filtered, and even within comedy, you could say stuff, right? People could joke, people could go hard on each other, but then there was like this certain turning point. I say within the last, do I want to say 6 years? I'll just say 4 years. Whereas like you really, yeah, I'm gonna say the last 4 years, where you really couldn't, you really got to be careful with your words, because everything's offensive, everything. So I could definitely see how a Gen Zer could, not like have challenges with feedback, because they feel offended. I can see that. So it says lack of relevant work experience, poor problem solving skills, insufficient technical skills, bad culture fit. The bad culture fit. Woof. I'm telling you, that's that. That's that. The old, what I said earlier about always, ain't gonna work, can't ain't gonna work in today's future. You know, that's that clash right there, bad culture fit. It's like it's that rebellion going on, and whew, man, difficulty working in a team, man. So that's just those reasons right there are yeah, are not looking too good. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. You know, it's but reading right here says a separate report from April found that Generation Z workers were overly reliant on parental support during their job search, according to the survey that was conducted by Resume Templates, in which included responses from nearly 1,500 young job seekers. 70% admitted to asking their parents for help in the job search process. Um, okay, I'm gonna be honest here. Okay, so one of my clients' husband, he's an accountant, and he talked about how when they were in a hiring process, you literally had younger folks who were just on their, like there was one girl, she was just on her phone as he was talking to her, um, and he couldn't believe it. That is pretty disrespectful. That's where that disconnect comes. I just don't think, unless you're someone who's older who is really really willing to work with that generation, and you're someone who's younger who's really really, and when I say that generation, I'm talking about like older generations that have already established themselves through a certain work ethic. You as a younger, as a Gen Zer, you got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to adapt. If you're getting babied, and I do know a lot of younger folks who are getting babied, I mean people who got cars when they were 16, people who like their parents would do everything for them, and they will just play video games, or you know, like literally, or just a big thing is I'm depressed. You know, they'll scream depression. I'm not depressed. I'm careful about the words I put out into the atmosphere. I'm happy. I'm good, right? But there's so many people who like that's a big thing. And when I just feel I'm a believer in when you tell yourself something over and over again, the more it becomes your reality. So when you're dependent already, and you don't know how to be self sufficient, and you don't know how to get out there and get your own, oh man, you know, yeah, you're gonna rely. You need somebody to rely on. That's a problem. That's a message I have for Gen Zers. Like it's always going to be hard. Every generation has their struggles, but yeah, just make sure you know how to be independent. Make sure you know how to hold your own. That is big. That is important. Your parents aren't always going to be there, and I know a lot of parents who they don't want their kids to leave the nest, especially after 2020. So they may feel like, listen, my kid is you know, they're good under pretty much under my household. You know, I got them. They don't gotta worry about nothing. When you do that, you can enable the behavior. And now you got a lot of kids who don't even go outside. They just straight on social media on just that's it. You know, you're sending emojis of you're not really crying, but you're sending crying emojis. We're not really laughing, but we're sending the laughing emojis. We're not really smiling, but we're sending smiling emojis. That goes for all of us. So it's like, but when you grew up in that culture, see, I still grew up in a culture where we still was at swimming pools and without phones, right? Without taking pictures everywhere we go. We're going out to eat without taking pictures everywhere we go. We're, you know, 30 deep on bikes riding to the next town to go to their pool, not taking pics every moment, you know, not living through a cell phone. We had our MP3 players, we had our iPods, you know, then obviously we started getting more into the cell phones, but that wasn't every moment. That wasn't every moment. So when every moment is lived through that, it's gonna be real. Like it's a laziness because there's now you relying on the phone to do everything. You know, you rely. It's a lot of people. Excuse me. You rely on the phone to do math. You rely on the phone to answer all your problems. Where it's like you had to think. You know, when I was growing up, so that's why millennials is like we really went through a serious transitional period, which is crazy. right? It's crazy to even look back and think how different the world was when I was, let's just say, 13 years old compared to now, me at 31. Wild. I mean, like, wild. Seriously, like, crazy difference. Even from me at 18 to me at 31 is insane. Even for, I'm not gonna lie, even me from 25 to now has been, it's whew, just everything's been happening so fast. But you gotta, once again, my message to Gen Zers, seriously, you gotta know how to hold your own. That's the big message for y'all generation. Like, y'all have a lot to offer because I see the world from a different perspective. I'm not somebody that is just completely like, oh, technologies. Like, I'm not going to completely demonize it, right? But we definitely got to find a balance there for sure, right? We got to find a balance. And Gen Zers and younger, if they can understand older generations and understand how to hold their own and how to adapt, then yeah, they could definitely cause make it work and cause a major shift even within how people are working. And I know there's people out there that have given a lot of Gen Zers a chance, and them Gen Zers probably came in and brought a whole bunch of new ideas to how they do things, how they market, how they promote. You just look at Trump, for example. That's a perfect example. His son was telling him, like, look, you need to get on Joe Rogan. You need to, he was using social media, TikTok. He was telling his dad, um, and his dad utilized those, and that helped him with his campaign. And he constantly talks about his son Barron, and how his son Barron was, in his ear saying, Dad, you got to do this, you got to da, connecting him with the youth. So if you got somebody, a Gen Zer on your team like that, who's intelligent, who understands the chess game, I should say, and understand what's going on in their generation and knows how to utilize that, but it has to come with qualities of knowing how to stand on your own, not just being under your parents all the time. You gotta have certain qualities. So you gotta work on self. You gotta be, I would say exercise. Make sure you're just make sure you're out there holding your own, and and that's really key, because you don't want to be lazy. If you're just lazy, nothing's gonna work like that. To be honest with you, nothing. Um, Now, if you have your own business, and you got something you're passionate in, then put your energy towards that, right? Put your energy towards that, and because if it's something that you really don't want to do, then you're not going to put in the work for it because it's something you don't really care about, right? So with that being said, yeah, good luck to all y'all out there, you know. And if you enjoyed this video, definitely don't hesitate to hit that like, subscribe with that notification bell, and definitely drop a comment and let me know what you think about Gen Zers and why they keep getting fired. With that being said, much love.